One thing I want to talk with you is that I found out in my personal life, I learned more from the failures that I went through. And my goal is that take the lessons from those mistakes and apply it to my next business so that I don't repeat the same mistake. So I want to find out some of your failures.
I was hoping you'd ask that question. When I came back from the war, I was put in charge of the merchandise control office at Bonwell Teller. And that meant making budgets for buyers and planning and all of that. But I wanted to be a buyer. I wanted to see what it was all about. Because every time I'd give the buyer a plan, she said, I can't do this, your plan is too difficult and so on. So I wanted to be a buyer. At Bonwell Teller, they made me a buyer of the blouse department. I didn't have a clue how to be a buyer. I was an unmitigated disaster. The only thing I did well was at night, I would go to the better dress department and I'd take a dress and look at and sketch the top. And I had blouses made that nobody else could have. That's the only smart thing I did. But other than that, my sales were poor, my markdowns were high, my assortment, it was a disaster. When I look back, but I learned from it, like you. So my mentor had resigned and went to become the head of Jane McCreary, a low-end store by comparison. And he said, would I come down and be the buyer there? I was even worse, because I kept thinking that the size 6, 8, 10, which is important uptown, 8, 10, 12, 14 was important downtown, and I bought 6, 8, 10. I was killed. I decided that I didn't know, I had taste, but didn't know how to merchandise. It's one thing telling people what to do, but doing it myself, I was a failure. Fortunately for me, when I went to an employment agency that was recommended by the secretary of my mentor, she sent me to Gladding's in Providence as a divisional merchandise manager. I made sure, as you, the mistakes that I made would not happen there. And so looking back, and I think I mentioned in my book, with everything I did, I may have been successful. As a buyer, I was a failure. But I learned that I bought too many styles, and all the mistakes I made sure the buyers did. So I benefited greatly from my failure.